Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing this series with the Cleveland Browns. We're going to do their season prediction rankings, or season prediction with like all the games and shit. So, yeah, that's the technical term for it. I can't speak English today. Nice. So, let's kick it off. There's no real need for any further introduction. Thank you guys for watching. Drop that like, comment, subscribe. We got content coming out every single day. I do. I'm saying we the channel. Me, myself, and I. So, starting off with the first week, Cleveland at Baltimore. This is going to be interesting because these are going to be two powerhouses going off against each other. And I think Baltimore has this thing where they just kick ass at home, okay? I'm giving this game to Baltimore. And here's why. Baltimore is, we saw the Cleveland Browns go in and kick Baltimore's ass, right? Now, the problem is that Baltimore was red hot until the playoffs last year. I think that they are going to carry the momentum from their season into this season. I think they're going to come out red hot. They're going to be like, oh shit, well, we need to prove all these haters wrong that we can't finish, right? They couldn't finish in the playoffs. They got to start kicking ass in their own division immediately. So I think this game's actually going to be a close one, though, because Cleveland's going to put up a good fight. Good fight. So I'm going to score this 27-24 Baltimore. Next week, Cleveland Browns versus Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to try to keep this video under like 23 minutes like I recorded the last one, so bear with me on that. Cincinnati, I watched the previous video with the Steelers. The offensive line is just very woeful. But, this is going to be a challenging game just because these interdivisional games are always great. But I'm going to give this one to Cleveland. They just are too stacked, in my opinion, to do anything but kick ass. So Cleveland's going to win this one. They're going to win it mightily. I think they're going to win it 42-27. Big game. Big game. Next, Washington at Cleveland. I'm sorry, guys. I don't really believe in Washington, especially for this game. I think that this game's going to be even more of a blowout than this one. I think it's going to be 45-10. Just because Cleveland's defense is better than the Steelers in my opinion. So if Washington can put up 13 on the Steelers, they'll only put up 10 on the Cleveland Browns. So that's just my basic in the air logic. But Cleveland just has a super powered offense. Jedrick Wills should turn out to be great. Jack Conklin, similar thing. They have all the weapons they really need. They still have Olivier Vernon, Myles Garrett. I think they still have Sheldon Richardson. Don't quote me on that, but they got a great secondary as well. It's really this Cleveland Browns team could be making a run for the Super Bowl, guys. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Dallas Cowboys. Very interesting game. I'm going to give this one to Cleveland, and this is why. I think that they, on paper, are better than Dallas, who is stereotypically always better on paper than anybody else. And I'm not going to say Dallas chokes this game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think that's going to be down to the wire, similar like it was with the Steelers. But I think that Cleveland is just too much of a firepower to basically... you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield. They can also chew up yards as soon as they get a lead. And with an improved offensive line, better offensive coordinator, they're going to be lighting this league up. Okay? And Dallas, they're going to be doing well. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, Michael Gallup, they're great. But I think their offensive line's a little bit suspect right now. I do not know how Tyler Biadasz is going to do at center. I think that was a great pick, and he has potential to be a great center. We don't know that yet. And then, in the center is kind of the captain of the offensive line. And Tyron Smith, again, we're assuming full healthiness here. Tyron Smith's great. But he's also getting a little bit older. We saw it in my 7-round mock draft that I got a tackle for them in, I believe, the 3rd, in Jalen Mayfield. Just because it's you have to deal with his injuries and his age. And in general, this offensive line isn't the super stud first-round pick everywhere that it used to be. They still got Zach Martin, though. So it's still going to be a formidable game. I think that Cleveland's going to win this game just by, the hairs on their chinny chin. I think it's going to be 31-24 to Dallas. Oh, Cleveland. So, next we have Indianapolis at Cleveland. I like this game, but I'm giving it to Cleveland just because it's Cleveland, for Christ's sakes. Indy's playing in a dome. Like, this is the thing. Indy's playing in a dome, and I think Indy at home is going to kick ass. But when they're out in the elements, it's just going to be a little bit hard for Philip super quick, crazy gunslinger Reed Rivers to actually deal any damage, right? So I think that Cleveland's run defense is going to shut them up, and their secondary is going to be very formidable against a really good wide receiver core in Indy. But I think the offense is just going to completely tear up the secondary of Indianapolis. I think it's going to be a 35-17 game in favor of the Cleveland Browns. We already went over this game, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. If you want to see the scores and everything, go to the previous video with the Steelers. But I am going to not keep you here for too long. So next game, Cleveland at Cincy. We've already talked about this. This is going to be a closer game. I think that Cincy's going to win some games here, but they unfortunately went up against, like, their division is just unstoppable right now. Like, they have, like, these three top teams, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers, like, these teams are all Super Bowl contenders in one division. And if you saw my playoff predictions video where I didn't do every single game, I had all three of those teams in the playoffs. So it's a lot of high praise for these guys. But yeah, I don't really need to go back into the reasons. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer, though. I think it's going to be 38-27. I think Cincy's going to be a little bit better, and I think that Cleveland is going to be a little bit easier to read, but not too much. Vegas versus Cleveland. It's at Cleveland. That's my thing. But Vegas, they have a fire under their belly, and Vegas always knows how to surprise the Cleveland Browns. I remember this. I saw them, wasn't it like last year? I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before. They just came out and completely shocked the Browns. And I'm going to call this as like a wild card game, like something that you don't see coming. Derek Carr just has these really clutch games where he looks like a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback. And then he has games where he's like the bottom half of the league quarterback. Really polarizing prospect. But I think this game is just going to be a shocking game. Going to be a close game, though. It's still going to be like a 7-point, 8-point spread. I think it's going to be 21 to the Browns, and I'm going to give 28 to the Raiders. I think this is going to be more of a touchdown happy game, or it's going to be like an 8-point type of contest where people are going to have to go for 2 and stuff to make it interesting. Regardless, bye week, Cleveland's going to be at home versus Houston. I already talked about Houston in my previous video. I'm giving this to Cleveland just because it's Cleveland. Like, you have to go into Cleveland. That's the worst part. You have to go into Cleveland. And it's a middle of the day game. I don't really understand what these little couch thingies mean, but it's probably just like a promotional game. Like, it's the middle of the day game. But regardless, Cleveland, they have home field advantage. Browns fans go crazy. Cleveland is horrible with weather, and they're going to be much more used to it than the Houston Texans are. So I think they're going to beat the Houston Texans by a little bit. I think it's going to be 28-17 Cleveland over Houston. Next, we have Philly at Cleveland. This is another shocker game. I'm giving this to Philadelphia, and this is why. Philadelphia, I kind of got on them in the last video. I think that by this time, Baker is going to get a little bit too cocky. Going to get a little too cocky. He's 8-2. He's like, hell yeah, fuck yeah. Like, man, like, I lost the first game. I went on a streak. I got my ass kicked by the Raiders, but that's okay. I went and beat Houston. He's going to get a little cocky. And then Carson Wentz is going to come in and have this crazy ball-out game, okay? Now, the secondary is kind of built against the speed, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant. But the linebackers for Cleveland are not that good, and I think that Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert are going to be the super weapons, the secret super weapons here. And I think that they are going to take apart Cleveland, and they're going to dink and dunk with Miles Sanders and then the tight ends, and they are going to win this game narrowly 21-17 because I think they're just going to dink and dunk and chew some clock. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of pressure coming in, and Baker's going to get some PTSD. And his cockiness is going to get ahead of him. He's going to do some stupid mistakes. So going on next, Cleveland versus Jacksonville. I'm giving this to Cleveland. I mean, watch my previous video if you want more in depth about Jacksonville, but their defense is more and more suspect. I know they got C.J. Henderson, but it's not the same as A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey, guys. Now in the future, they got 3 first-round picks from the Rams. I mean, like, okay. So I think that Jacksonville can definitely resurge as like a top Super Bowl contender in the next 2 to 3 years. But for now, they have a lot of raw talent, especially with K'Lavon Chase on there and C.J. Henderson. They both need to develop. So I think this game is going to be won a little bit, I was about to say mightily. Let's stick with it, mightily. Cleveland Browns are going to put up a 38 bomb. Jacksonville is going to put up 17. Next, we have. Did I do a score for Philly? I don't know. I'm gonna assume I did, but here we'll give you another one. I think Philadelphia is going. Oh yeah, we said the dink and dunk situation. So I already gave you guys that one. Excuse my memory. Regardless, we're here with the Cleveland Browns going against the Tennessee Titans, and this is going to be an interesting game, a very interesting game here, guys. And I think Tennessee's going to win because they're at home. They're going to be at home. We're going to see them try to fight for their division, right? We're going to see them fight for the division. And Derrick Henry is just a super weapon. They have a good defense, a really good defense. And they have a reputable offensive line, a game manager, a beast running back, and a pretty solid wide receiver core. So I think that they have the requisite weapons that they need. And I think that they're going to be fine, man. They have a solid defense too. So, I mean, their defensive line's a little suspect, but regardless, they have a good linebacking core. They have a good secondary. They can ground and pound. I think it's going to be 24-17 Tennessee over Cleveland. Next game, Baltimore is going into Cleveland. At this point, Baltimore and Cleveland, they're going to be tussling for that spot, right? They're going to be going at each other. I think Baltimore is going to take both games in this. Both games. Baltimore is going to be more hungry than the Cleveland Browns at this point because right now, I believe that. Well, no, I think they play the Steelers later. But Baltimore, they're going to be like, oh, we have to prepare for this. This is under the lights type of game, and I mean they're gonna this game's always gonna be a pretty good game. Cleveland, they're still gonna be kind of cocky because they're almost concerned, like they're almost already in the playoffs because they have the Jets and the Giants here. You know what I mean? And I think that it's actually gonna be kind of crazy, but the Cleveland Browns are going to take the division over the Steelers at the moment. Because, spoiler alert, I think that they can beat the Giants and the Jets. So, I think that Baltimore, they're going to be a little bit hungry here. They're going to kind of capture both of these games. I think the score is going to be, I'm going to give it a 31-28. Really close game, Monday night, but to Baltimore. Next game, Giants, they're going to come in, and unfortunately, Danny Dimes is going to fumble a couple times to Myles Garrett. That's just going to be the thing that happens. So, defense also is a lot more suspect. I think this is going to be more of a blowout type game. 38-13, Cleveland over New York. Next game, Cleveland versus the Jets. Oh my goodness. I accidentally clicked New York. Next game against the Jets. Sam Darnold's going to put up a fight here, but Baker's going to show why the hell he's really the number one guy. Hold on a second. What the hell? Is there 3 games against Baltimore? Oh, is this the... Oh, okay. I see what's happening here. If I'm not mistaken... Oh, yeah, there's 17 games this season? That's very interesting. Regardless, they're going to win this game because New York, their defense is a little suspect. Their offense is still getting there. They have pieces that they still need to put into place, wide receiver-wise and at offensive line. But we'll see what happens. In a couple of years, they could also be contending for their division. So we also saw this. Go back to the Pittsburgh video if you want to see any more. But Cleveland versus Baltimore Week 18. So I'm kind of new to the idea of a Week 18, but they added in the extra game, right? So this... I guess it's determined after the season goes on because we obviously only saw one game here. Cleveland at Baltimore. They're going to be fighting for this division. It's going to be at home with Baltimore. I think Baltimore's taking the cake 3 times in a row. Nah, they ain't. Sorry. Cleveland Browns going to come back. They're going to be like, you beat us twice and beat us at our home. They are going to be pissed. Baker's going to have a chip on his shoulder. They're going to go into Baltimore and stun the world. I think this game is still going to be a good one. I think it's going to be 31-24, Cleveland over Baltimore. And that is how the season ends for the Browns. Let me know what you guys think. I'm not 100% sure if these last games are anything to actually see here, because obviously I only see 11-5 on the record. So I think this might be like, I honestly have no idea. We'll see what happens as time goes on. Regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop that like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, some of these games, like this one, is going to be a little bit up in the air. But without further ado, I'm not going to hold you here any longer. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.